The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition that they may have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professional for any such conditions. Hello, and welcome to Mind, Body, Luminosity, the podcast where we dive into the realms of health and wellness to equip you with the tools that you need to live a vibrant life. I'm your host, Dr. Holly Kendra, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey to optimal well-being. So we are now just about 1 week into spring, and while I know it may not seem like it with the weather that we've been having lately, especially those little snowflakes out there today, I do want to focus our conversation today on the significance of spring and what it means for us in the wellness realm. Now, I don't know about you all, but I find that I have a really hard time sticking to any resolutions that I made in January. For the next 3 to 4 months, when January rolls around, it is still cold out. It is dark, our energy is low. We're all still kind of in that hunker down mode and hibernation mode. That's kind of our natural state in January and in the winter months. We're also likely in a recovery mode state from all of the indulging in all of our Christmas goodies. Christmas cookies are everywhere, sugary foods. When you get into that fall, winter season, we are kind of bombarded by, we've got Halloween, and then we've got Thanksgiving, and we've got Christmas, and we got New Year's. So there's all kinds of cookies and candies and cakes and alcohol everywhere because we're all celebrating together and spending time together. And something that we do when we do that is we share food and we share drink. And all of that just kind of drags us down. It puts our body into this state of we need to recover our health and wellness during this time. And it makes it really hard to kind of jump into something on the 1st of January when it's still dark and cold out and try and shift our lifestyle in the month of January. Our body's like, wait, we can't quite go hardcore into shifting lifestyle in January. We're still low energy. We're still hibernating. It's still cold out. It's still dark. And even if you do start out strong, because I know a lot of people do, they make New Year's resolutions and they start out strong and they go really hard on, going to the gym every day, or, we're gonna change our diet or our lifestyle in some way, shape, or form. How many of us fall off by the end of January or even the beginning of February? We might make it into the beginning of February, but then Valentine's Day rolls around and more candy and sugar everywhere. And so we're right back to our old habits. And it's still dark. It's still cold. We're still falling into those patterns of comfort food and, wanting to hunker down and hibernate. And that's okay because that's actually our natural state for things. But now that we're into spring, that really does shift the energy. It shifts energy for health and wellness goals in a big way. Spring really holds this profound significance as a time of renewal and rejuvenation across various cultures throughout the world. And there are several reasons why spring is celebrated as a season of rebirth and transformation. So one is natural awakening. It's the natural awakening after the dormancy of winter. Spring marks the reawakening of nature. Things are starting to bud and bloom. We see it all around us. The renewal of life symbolizes that hope, that growth, and that cyclical nature of existence. The increased daylight, that's another reason. As the days get longer and the temperatures start to rise, maybe not today, but they are starting to rise, there is a notable shift in energy and mood. I feel it. When I see a sunnier day or, when that light is out longer, I am more apt to, be more active during the day. Or last night, my husband and I were able to get out for a walk with our dogs after dinner because the light was out that much later. Now, while I know that there is kind of a shift with the daylight, with the introduction of daylight savings time always, making it lighter out later in the day, I'm one to appreciate just the length of light during the day in general. Cultural and religious significance as well. That also exists in the springtime to kind of help shift our energy and shift our focus to start kind of coming out of our shells and doing different things to help celebrate the themes of renewal and rebirth. Agricultural traditions are another big factor. Historically and theoretically, spring is usually a crucial time for agriculture. That's when you start planting the crops and getting the start of the growing season. And then as the warmer weather comes in and the longer days and the extended sunlight, it really helps to kind of cultivate that land and then reap the harvest, ensuring that food security and that sustenance for our communities. Personal growth and transformation, this is where I really kind of want to take our discussion today, is spring offers an opportunity for introspection. And this is where when you have made those New Year's resolutions in January, I would offer perhaps consider making a New Year's resolution on the first day of spring, because it's often associated with those symbols of rebirth, and kind of coming out of our shells and starting new things, and growth. And so we want to be able to kind of harness that energy of growth and change. And this is a really good time to do that. So renewed energy and motivation, these are some of the psychological factors that kind of go into what can help prompt us to be more successful starting our resolutions or implementing change in our wellness patterns in the spring. The days are lengthening, the temperature's rising, there is that energy surge and that motivation surge because we see that sunlight more. And next week, we're going to talk more about light and what light can do for our body, the important impact, because that is one of my areas of expertise, is talking more about light. And so that light can actually, scientifically, it charges our mitochondria. It helps our bodies actually have the energy to do more, to try new things, to take on more things. And it helps us, a lot of times during the winter, especially in these higher latitudes like Michigan and back where I grew up in Washington, SAD, that seasonal affective disorder, was a really, really big problem. We have basically a chronic lack of vitamin D in our bodies up in these higher latitudes because we just don't get enough sunlight during the day. You will find, if any of you go have your labs run by your primary care doctor and your doctor wants to run a vitamin D panel to check your levels of vitamin D, I can pretty much guarantee you if you live up in these latitudes and you are not supplementing with vitamin D, they're going to be low. And so the insurance companies, they know that. They know that people in the higher latitudes have lower vitamin Ds chronically. And so oftentimes they won't even pay for it. This happened to me. My doctor just ran my vitamin D levels several months ago. And I would have said, you know what, hold off on that one because I don't think insurance is going to pay for it because I know my levels are probably low. And so sure enough, got the bill a little bit later and had to pay a ridiculous amount for a vitamin D test that I could have told anybody was probably low. So that affects our SAD, the low vitamin Ds. It affects this seasonal affective disorder with the lack of the sunlight that we get. And when you experience SAD, when you're dealing with SAD, it leads you to a state of low motivation. You don't really want to get up and do anything because you don't really feel like it's worth it to do anything. And so moving into spring, getting that increased level of sunlight, getting those warmer temperatures, which kind of encourage us to be outside a little bit more, that definitely helps us when we are going to start making some changes for our health and wellness. There also is a psychological association with a fresh start. We all kind of, know the term spring cleaning, and we can get out and into our homes or into our yards, things like that. We start doing these spring cleaning things. And we have this natural tendency to associate kind of the start of a new season or the start of a new month, some sort of, multiple areas of new cycles with a fresh start. And spring is another one of those opportunities for a fresh start that we can have. And that psychological association with a fresh start just helps to motivate us individuals to kind of evaluate our current circumstances. Where am I at with my health and wellness goals? And what do I want to change? What do I want to improve in my health and wellness goals? And here, it's the start of a new season. Perfect time for a fresh start. And then often spring is a really good time for increased social activity. We start getting out and about with our neighbors a little bit more, or with our friends, because again, we're kind of coming out of that hibernation mode and we're ready to start interacting with people again. And so the social interaction helps to provide some social reinforcement. And when somebody is starting to work towards a new goal, oftentimes it's really, really good to have that social reinforcement, or to have somebody there on the other side to help hold you accountable in some way, shape, or form. So if you have a goal, a new goal that you want to achieve, and you want to, give it a good start, starting in the spring is another good way to do that, because you're more liable to see somebody, and one of your friends or relatives, or somebody else that's going to be able to help hold you accountable and reinforce your efforts and say, hey, that's a great job that you're doing. You're starting this new goal. You're working real hard. It looks like you're doing a great job. And that always helps to kind of propel us forward as we work towards achieving our new goals. So another kind of concept I want to explore a little bit as we have this brief discussion today is this concept of renewal with the changing seasons, and how it aligns. We know that winter dormancy, during winter, nature is very dormant. All the plants shed their leaves, trees are barren, animals hibernate, and it's a period of rest and dormancy. And really, humans need that too. We all need that period of rest and dormancy, and that's a chance for us to sit and kind of reevaluate where we are at in our lives. And we can, during those winter months, we can come up with goals that we want to achieve. We can work on the planning stages of our goals. Nothing to say that we can't. And sometimes it takes some really good planning to help the goals actually manifest in the long run, because you're setting yourself up for success when you take that time to really think about what you want to achieve and then how you want to go about doing it. So the winter, while things are dormant, is a really good time for that self-reflection, that internal reflection on where you are and kind of where you want to go as you move forward with the new seasons. Then once spring comes, we see, in nature, plants are starting to emerge, the trees are starting to bud. I know that the daffodils and the crocuses in my neighborhood are probably having a real hard about face right now, wondering why they started budding so early when there's still clearly snow and cold weather going on right now. But still, we are moving into that time of spring, and it's time for things to emerge from hibernation and to focus on growth. And so along with that, when we're talking about these changing seasons, transitioning from winter to spring, it reinforces that there is this cyclical nature to life, and all of the different seasons. There is a reason why, the earth moves through different seasons and different stages. And there are clear periods for growth, periods for stagnation, periods for decline, periods for renewal, and it just it keeps going. It's a cycle. And with each changing season, there are new and different opportunities for growth and transformation. And so my encouragement is for everyone to just take a few moments and kind of sit with the fact that there is, a cyclical nature to life. And how can we kind of harness that cycle and use it to our best advantage for growth and transformation and for achieving our goals. So moving further into this discussion of nature and cycles, humans, as we talked about in our last episode, the philosophers of old, and especially Hippocrates, talked about how it's important for humans to try and live in harmony with these natural rhythms. And this is one of the ways where naturopathic doctors really try and support people and try and go with a more natural option to achieving health and wellness, and try and start with least invasive methods and more natural methods first before jumping to synthetics like pharmaceuticals and things, because we are meant to be able to live in harmony with nature and with these natural rhythms. If you look back at the days of the cavemen and stuff, they had to live in harmony with nature. Things were very, very different back then, so they couldn't artificially try and exist in different states during those periods of rest, like during the winter. And so, what we have to do is we have to kind of recognize this interconnectedness of all living beings. And if we can take that opportunity to attune to those changing seasons and try and figure out how to work with them for all of our benefits. Some people are definitely operate better during the winter, and some people definitely operate better during the summer. And so we need to be able to try and find that balance and foster that relationship with the natural seasons and the cyclical nature of things. And sometimes when we're kind of evaluating that, it's important for us to kind of tune in around us. I talk a lot with people, with clients that come in, and when I go on speaking engagements, and even in my networking group, they hear a lot about this, about having mindful moments. And I think it's really important to make sure that we do take mindful moments every day and just kind of tune into the world around us and drop into the present moment. And when you do that, especially as we move into spring, we can start to kind of notice some of these different sights and sounds and scents of the different changing seasons, and how kind of tuning into those, identifying with those can help us to kind of move forward with our goals, and also to help motivate us to take action. So visually, one of the things that you can look at or, observe is just all the vibrant colors, the blooming flowers, the green grass, the blue skies. As we move into spring, start to notice those colors a little bit more. Color does have an effect on us. It is very important. We're going to talk more about that in our next episode on light. But noticing the different colors, that helps us. It helps us to awaken our senses and to help stimulate different feelings of joy, of vitality, of optimism, of, getting that momentum to move forward. The sights of nature blooming, the flowers blooming and coming to life after the dormancy of winter, it reminds us of the beauty and the potential inherent in these new beginnings. So take a moment, on the next sunny day that you see when those colors are vibrant, or even on a gray day like today. I know when I was out for the walk this morning, it was very gray, and there were these little snow pebbles falling from the sky. They weren't quite flakes. They were more like a cross between a snowflake and a little hail ball. But they were falling from the sky. But as we walked past one of our neighbors' houses, my husband remarked on how green the grass was. And it just looked so beautiful. It was a beautiful shade of green. So just take a moment as you move through your day and try and appreciate some of the different colors that are starting to emerge now as we move into spring. Another stimulus that we can identify with and that we can kind of use to help propel us forward, and that actually does help to spark momentum for us and remind us of spring and growth and renewal, is the sound of birds. We start to hear, as we move into spring, the birds a lot more. You hear them chirping, you hear them flying through the air, and it's not just the crows. I've heard crows and jays a lot, but it's all the little birds too. Now, when I was at the White Lake Area Chamber of Commerce Business Expo over the weekend, I have to say one of my favorite booths there was the booth for the birdhouse. They were across the gym from me, all the way on the other side of the gym, But one of the reasons I loved their booth was because they had bird sounds playing. Kathy had bird sounds playing from her booth. And I could hear the bird sounds all the way on my side of the gym at my booth. And it just helped to remind me that it was daylight and it was spring. Because being in the gym, you couldn't see the outside. You couldn't see the blue sky that was outside that day, even though it was really super cold. It was a beautiful day outside, but we couldn't see it because we were in the gym. So hearing the birds actually helped to give me energy. It helped to propel me to keep moving forward. Some of the other sounds that you might hear more of is the rustle of the leaves as they start to grow in on the trees, the babbling of streams. I don't know about you guys, but I love the sound of water. It is incredibly relaxing to me, and it's also energizing. There's something about the water that a big part of it, I will say, is because it does remind me of home. You know, I came from Washington and I grew up on an island, and so I've spent a lot of time near water. So being out at like Lake Michigan or going hiking where there's a stream or a river and being able to hear that is really incredible. It helps to kind of soothe the soul and awaken the spirit. Another thing is there's different smells that you can smell in the spring. I know that my dogs pick up on it way more than I do because they have way more attuned olfactory senses. But there are definitely things that come out in the spring that we can tell too. Like when the flowers start to bloom, or the smell of fresh cut grass, or even earth, or gardens. When somebody's out gardening and you're digging in the earth and you're moving things around, there's a scent that comes out, and it really helps to kind of awaken our olfactory senses. You know, it helps to kind of maybe evoke some memories of past emotions or experiences. But it also has the power to uplift our mood and to help reduce our stress. It also helps to enhance our cognitive function because you've got that fresh air out there. And as you're moving things around, whether it's mowing the lawn or doing some work in the garden, it is helping to create, it changes what's in the air, which is what we, breathe in and then gets into our body. So there's different elements that get inhaled through that. And then all of that together helps us to create an optimal environment for setting our goals and for moving forward, and giving us that motivation necessary to keep going. Now, I want to circle back around for a minute to this idea of spring cleaning, because I think it's something that happens a lot. I highly, highly recommend spring cleaning, but spring clean in all the ways, not just in your house. Because doing spring cleaning can actually really help us to move forward on our goals and take those next steps. One of the things that spring cleaning can do is you go around the house and you start to kind of either put things into bags to go to thrift stores, or send stuff to the trash pile, or however you're going to do it. It helps to reduce that visual distraction on your body. And as you're moving around in your daily life, if there's clutter everywhere, or if you've got too many things in your house taking up space in different areas, it creates this internal sense of chaos and overwhelm. And that makes it really hard to actually move forward on achieving a goal or, doing anything productive. So decluttering your space, removing unnecessary items, that helps to reduce those visual distractions, and it brings a sense of focus a little bit more, a little sense of peace, a little sense of clarity, and it helps to promote concentration and productivity. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed in your home space, try working on some of that spring cleaning. Try reducing the clutter in your space and seeing if that helps to provide you with some mental clarity to keep moving forward on your goals. And clutter in our physical environment can also produce feelings of stress. And so if we can help to reduce that clutter in our space, that the constant visual bombardment definitely contributes to our feelings of stress in our environment. And so removing some of that excess stuff, for lack of a better word, or decluttering, it helps to reduce those stress triggers. It helps to create a sense of calm and tranquility. And we see this a lot as, we see more and more people moving to a more minimalist lifestyle. It's a lot easier for them because they have less stuff to worry about, because they have decluttered their space, they have decluttered their mind. There's less on their mind, there's less to think about. And it gives us a sense of emotional stability and overall well-being by doing so. I want to talk a little bit more about mindfulness, because as we declutter our physical space and we go through spring cleaning, we can also adopt a more mindful approach to our surroundings. So, this is kind of like the Marie Kondo, I think it was Marie Kondo, style of decluttering of, do we really, like, if we're going to bring something into our space, we need to evaluate if we really need it, if it brings us joy, if it is something that is important to us, or is it just something that is excess to us? Is it something we can discard? Is it something that somebody else could utilize, that we don't necessarily need anymore? Does it contain emotional baggage? And if so, do we need to have it in our space, or is there somewhere else that it can go? And if you can take that effort or that aspect of mindfulness to your spring cleaning, it can really help you to decide, what brings me joy, and does it need to be in my space, or can I let this go? Because if you have something in your space that is just taking up space and it's not bringing you any joy, it's not doing anything for you, it's just excess. And we don't need excess. We can let things go, and it is okay. While you are spring cleaning, another thing you can work on, another thing that spring cleaning offers, is fostering a positive environment. And as you're spring cleaning, kind of carry that mindset forward as you're doing it, because what you're doing is you're trying to foster that positive environment, or create a positive environment, a space where you want to be, a space where you are not stressed out, a space where you can think, you have focus, you have feelings of upliftment, you are, designing your space with things that are aesthetically pleasing, things that are going to be calming, and or energizing, depending on the nature of your room. Like if you're spring cleaning your bedroom, you might want to put things there that are more calming and more relaxing. You definitely want to reduce the clutter in the bedroom, because the extra clutter in the bedroom is only going to stress you out, and it's going to affect your sleep. But if you're out and you're setting up maybe a workout room or a gym, you want things in there that are going to be more uplifting and more energizing. So there are different colors and different things that you can put in there that'll help with that. So as you move through and you do the spring cleaning, kind of do it with the mindset of, I want to create this positive environment as I move forward. Now, spring cleaning can definitely enhance that focus and that productivity, as we were kind of talking about a little bit ago. By clearing the physical clutter out of your space, it helps to clear your brain. It helps to clear the clutter in your brain. So it helps to kind of keep your environment clean and tidy. It also helps to create a sense of accomplishment. As you finish your spring cleaning, you feel accomplished. You're like, hey, this room looks really great. Or I did this, spring cleaning of my garden and it looks amazing. Things are going to start to grow really nicely. And so what that does is it also helps to boost your mood and your self-esteem, because you get to check that box and say, hey, I did that. Spring cleaning also helps to promote emotional well-being. It offers this opportunity to kind of release those emotional attachments to different things. If it's a material possession, or if it's something in your mindset that you're working on and you're spring cleaning your mindset. You can also spring clean digitally. Go through, take your devices, your phones and things, and spring clean them. Get rid of excess junk email that is coming into your inbox. You can spring clean your contacts list. You can spring clean your social media. Give yourself that chance to kind of release some excess baggage that does not serve you and is not going to serve your future goals. it's going to enhance your productivity, really, because you're reducing your distractions. You're reducing the fact of like looking at, your living room and saying, okay, I need to do that. And you say that to yourself over and over and over and over and over. But once you spring clean and it's done, you have eliminated that distraction. So it's going to make you more efficient. And it's also going to help you give that feeling of that fresh start. Spring, again, we talked about it being a great time for a fresh start. So cleaning symbolizes a fresh start. It symbolizes a new beginning. You have cleaned something. It is now fresh. It's fresh and new. So embrace that feeling of the fresh start and do a little spring cleaning there. And by doing all of that, it will also help kind of enhance that cognitive ability and that cognitive function. Again, you're removing those distractions. You're going to think clearer. There's going to be more creativity that's going to be able to come to you because you have more of a blank slate in front of you. So helping to declutter your devices, declutter your home, declutter your office space, it allows for you to be more creative in how you want to fill the space or fill the time. So I want to offer some practical tips for decluttering, for spring cleaning, for starting fresh, new resolutions, springtime resolutions rather than New Year's resolutions. And one of the ways that you can do that really is to use the SMART goal setting pattern. Now, SMART is an acronym, not just a word. The S for SMART is starting small. You want to start small. So pick something that is easily achievable, and you want it to be specific. You want it to be a specific, small, achievable goal. And clearly define it. Define your goal, define your objectives. Don't just set a vague resolution or a vague goal like, hey, I want to get in shape. You want to be specific about what you want to achieve. I want to lose 10 pounds in 3 months. That's one that is going to be a pretty prominent resolution these days. Or I want to run a 5K race by the end of the year. Now, that's a pretty big goal, but I think it's pretty achievable. You want to make it measurable, the goal that you're going to achieve. So you want to make sure that there's a way to track your progress and make sure that you're moving forward on your progress. Because that way, if you fall off, you know where you fell off and where to get back on. And if it's a big goal, if it's a bigger goal like running that 5K, break it down even farther. Make it a little bit smaller. Make it a little more achievable. And that's where the A comes in. It needs to be achievable. You want to choose a resolution that is within reach. You want to make sure that your abilities, your resources, your time constraints all are not necessarily going to get in the way of you achieving that goal. You don't want to send something overly ambitious that you won't achieve, because if you don't achieve it, that's just going to lead to frustration and burnout, and it's not going to work. And I do this with my clients all the time. I tell them, we start baby steps. I want you to be able to achieve the goals that we're setting, because if you don't achieve them, you don't want to continue. You want to be realistic. Consider your current circumstances, your commitments, and any limitations that you may have. So when you're setting those goals, it needs to be realistic, because if it's unsustainable with your lifestyle and your resources, again, you're not going to make it, and then it becomes an unachievable goal, and then you get disheartened and you're more likely to quit on your goals. And then finally, the T stands for time bound. You need to have a time limit on it. Give yourself a date by when you want to achieve that goal, or like a monthly kind of window. So like the one that said, I want to run a 5K race by the end of the year. That is a time-bound goal because you've got by the end of the year in there. So make sure you have something, some way to kind of hold yourself accountable. And as you get closer to that goal, it also helps to create that sense of urgency to make you want to continue. And so that will also help keep you on track in the long run. So some different strategies that I like to offer to people as you move forward on creating a resolution or a new goal is you want to kind of, again, break it down into a nice, small, achievable goal. Keep it small. If it's manageable, then you're more likely to actually achieve it and you're more likely to actually continue. You want to be flexible as well. Don't be rigid in your goal setting. Be willing to adapt and adjust your goals as needed based on changing circumstances or obstacles that might arise, because they do. We all need to stay realistic in this. Life happens. So you need to be able to stay open to different alternative approaches. And maybe when you're doing your brainstorming and your mind mapping and your planning for achieving your goals, kind of build that in. Like, what happens if this happens? How can I stick to my goals if this should come up? Seek support. Make sure you surround yourself with a supportive network of friends and family, even mentors, coworkers, etc. Find people who are going to be supportive of you reaching your goals. Don't find people that are going to be critical of it. Don't find people that are going to knock you. You want to find people that are actually going to support you on your goals, and then enlist their help in staying motivated. Use them as accountability. Celebrate your progress. Because you have those little goals that you set for yourself, those small achievable goals, as you reach those small milestones, have some celebration to it. Make sure it's a healthy way to celebrate, but make sure you celebrate your achievements along the way, no matter how small. Because the more you do that and you acknowledge your success and your achievements, it helps to reinforce you to keep moving forward and to maintain that motivation. And then visualize your success. Visualize yourself regularly achieving those goals. I talk a lot about mindfulness and things like that. One of the things that you can do that can really help is just visualize yourself achieving that goal. Even if it is like 2 minutes a day, close your eyes and visualize what would happen. What would it look like if you achieved that goal? I've talked a lot with clients and with other groups about creating vision boards. And if you haven't heard of a vision board, I'm sure most of you have, but it's like either it can be done on a computer, it can be done on a big giant piece of poster board, using magazine cutouts, whatever you need, but put visuals of what you want to achieve, of what your goals are, and put them somewhere where you see it every day, whether that's on your refrigerator, whether it's on your bathroom mirror. Put it somewhere you're going to see it every day, and that helps you look at it and remind yourself, that's the goal that I'm going to achieve. And you also want to talk about things in a, that's what I'm going to do, not that's what I want to do. You want to stay in that positive mindset and kind of keep things moving forward, because the more you talk about things in a positive light, things are going to go that direction. So just to kind of recap, we talked about how spring really is this time of growth and transformation. To me, I don't do New Year's resolutions, because trying to set a New Year's resolution in the dead of winter, when things are hibernating, when things are dormant, when it's cold and dark, it's not energizing, and it doesn't make me want to continue on a new goal or a new task. Once spring rolls around, it's fair game. I'm way more energized. I'm way more likely to continue. I'm way more likely to achieve my goals. So now might be a good time to evaluate if you want to set a New Year's resolution, a new spring resolution, and something that you can try and do moving forward. It's important to be able to embrace change. Step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. Try something new, and try utilizing, if you want to set a new goal this spring, try utilizing that SMART goal setting technique. And hopefully that helps you be a little more achievable in your goals. And if you do feel off, or if you did fall off of your resolutions that you made in January, if things have shifted, if you didn't make it, it's okay. I'm here to tell you, it's okay. It's okay. Now is an even better time to start fresh. It's time to reset those goals and use some of those tips that we discussed today. So spring, symbolizing that time of renewal and rejuvenation, it really helps to offer us that opportunity to shed those old habits and to embrace new beginnings. It offers us a chance to pursue personal excellence and personal growth and transformation. Spring also provides us the optimal environment for change. Use those sights, those sounds, those scents of spring. Use those to energize you, to help motivate you. Use that energy and that positivity and that sense of possibility, and use that to help fuel you as you move forward on your goals. Make sure you take a chance to do some decluttering and some organizing. That spring cleaning, it helps to declutter our physical space. It helps to promote mental clarity and focus. It helps us to feel like we are in a clean and organized environment that's going to support our goals. And make sure you set realistic and sustainable resolutions. When setting your goals and resolutions, make sure that they are achievable. Make sure that they are specific, measurable. Make sure that they are time-bound. Make sure that they are relevant and attainable. And then make sure that you can overcome these obstacles. Set yourself up for success. Make sure that you have a good support network. Make sure that you are practicing your self-care. Make sure that you are celebrating your achievements along the way. All of those things can help set you up for success and help you keep going. And make sure that you embrace your growth and transformation along the way. Things are going to change. Things are going to need to adjust as you move forward on achieving goals. And that's okay. That's the nature of life. Things shift, things change, things adjust. Be sure to be flexible as you go along with them. And encourage yourself on this journey of self-discovery, on this journey of renewal and empowerment as you are achieving these new resolutions for your health and wellness goals. Stay strong in that, and know that it's okay. So with all of that in mind, I want to thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Mind, Body, Luminosity. And I hope you found today's discussion enlightening and empowering. Remember, your health is your greatest asset, and investing in it is key to a fulfilling life. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our Mind, Body, Luminosity over on our YouTube page with CatchMark Communities. And your feedback helps us to continue to deliver valuable content to you all. So if there's something you would like to hear about, please do let us know. Until next time, please stay curious, stay mindful, and stay healthy. Wishing you wellness and abundance until we meet again. The information provided in this podcast and supporting material is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute the practice of medicine or other professional healthcare service, including the giving of medical advice. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and any materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition that they may have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professional for any such conditions.